Okay, think about this for a second. Have you ever received a gift, maybe not something flashy, but something that just shifted things for you?
Yeah, like something that really changed your perspective or even your direction in life. That kind of deep impact.
Exactly. Hold on to that feeling because today we're unwrapping a gift, a concept that carries that same kind of weight.
It wasn't, wrapped in paper, but it was definitely given intentionally.
Mhm.
And its impact, well, it's been echoing for about 2,000 years.
We're diving deep into what's often called Jesus' new commandment. You'll find it in John's Gospel, chapter 15, verse 34.
Now, hearing that, you might think, hang on, love, isn't that kind of Jesus's whole thing? What's new about it?
And that is the bullseye question, isn't it? Love is obviously central. So our mission here is to figure out what exactly is new, what's the subtle shift Jesus is making.
And what does that mean for us, like practically speaking, day to day?
Right. So before we get to the new part, maybe we should touch on the baseline, the great commandment.
Good idea. That's back in Matthew 22. People asked Jesus for the greatest commandment.
And he gives them two, really. Love God with everything you've got, heart, soul, mind.
And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Foundational stuff.
Absolutely. Sets a pretty high bar already. Love God, love others as much as you love yourself.
It does. It establishes that divine connection and our responsibility to, well, everyone around us. But then John 13.34, the wording shifts.
Yeah.
It gets specific.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Jesus says, love each other. Simple enough. But then he adds, just as I have loved you, so you also must love each other.
Just as I have loved you. That's the key phrase.
It seems to be the new part, right? The benchmark changes.
Totally. It's not just about loving based on our own human capacity anymore, with all our limits and conditions. The model becomes Jesus's love itself.
Which is described as, well, divine, sacrificial.
Unconditional, full of grace. It shifts the focus from our own self-love as the measure to this external divine example. The new isn't the command to love, but the way we're called to love.
It's a much higher standard than just as yourself. It's as I have loved you.
Precisely. It demands a selflessness, a commitment mirroring his.
This reminds me of that concept from the source material, the love triangle. Can you sketch that out for us?
Yeah, it's a helpful picture. Imagine a triangle. One point is our love for God. Up top, maybe.
Okay.
Another point is love for our neighbor, the wider world, the community outside our immediate circle.
Got it.
And the third point, that's the each other love. Love specifically within the faith community. The people Jesus was speaking to directly at that moment.
So not just God and neighbor, but God, neighbor, and fellow believers. Like a three-legged stool. Needs all three legs to be stable.
Exactly like a tripod, as the source puts it. These three loves, they're interconnected. If one leg is weak or missing entirely.
The whole thing gets wobbly, unstable. The picture isn't clear.
Right. And I think we can all relate to feeling a bit wobbly sometimes in our faith life, maybe leaning too hard on one aspect and letting others slide.
Yeah, definitely. The source material even talks about different tendencies people have, different ways they express faith.
Which is really insightful. It acknowledges that people connect differently. You've got your worship first people, right?
Yeah.
Deeply moved by services, music, prayer.
Totally. Maybe they've got the Hillsong playlist going constantly.
Then there are the action-driven folks. They're all about social justice, serving the community, getting things done. You see them organizing marches or food drives.
Boots on the ground people.
And then the community-minded ones. Their faith really comes alive in fellowship, coffee hour after service, knowing everyone's story, building those internal bonds.
And the source is really clear. None of these are wrong ways to express faith. They're all valuable.
Absolutely crucial point. But let's be honest, the source also points out that sometimes, well, there's judgment between these groups.
Oh, yeah. Worshippers thinking activists are neglecting spirituality, activists thinking the community folks aren't engaged enough with the world's problems, and so on.
And that's where you see the wobbly tripod in action. If you're only focused on worship, maybe loving your actual neighbor, practically, gets weak. That leg's short.
Or if you're all action, maybe you neglect nurturing each other within the faith community. That leg gets shaky.
But it really misses the point, which is that we need all three working together. It's less about criticizing how others connect and more about noticing our own weaker leg and working on that.
Yeah, strengthening our own balance. That makes sense.
And thinking about this new commandment in John 13, the timing makes it even more powerful. The source really emphasized this.
Right, Jesus says this after Judas leaves the room.
Exactly. This isn't just some random teaching. It's the Last Supper. Jesus has just washed their feet. He's predicted his betrayal, and Judas literally just walked out to make it happen.
The atmosphere must have been incredibly tense, heavy.
You can only imagine. Jesus knows what's coming. And that's when he gives this command for a new kind of love.
And the source material did a good job, I thought, of not just making Judas a caricature villain.
Right, he was part of the inner circle. He was the treasurer, someone they trusted who'd walked with Jesus for years.
It makes it more human and maybe more unsettling. We don't know all his reasons. Money, disappointment, something darker.
The text itself, John 13.27, mentions Satan entered into him, which adds another layer. But the point is, even someone that close can make a destructive choice.
It's a sobering reminder, really. We all deal with complex relationships, sometimes even betrayals we never saw coming.
And what does Jesus do in that moment after Judas leaves? That's what the source highlights.
Yeah, what he doesn't do is justice telling. No angry rant, no subtweeting, no gossipy prayer chain.
No, none of that. Instead, we remember John 13, verse 1, which the source points to. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them fully. Fully.
Meaning that love, that intention, included Judas, even knowing.
Think about washing Judas's feet just moments before, sharing bread with him. You have profound grace in the face of imminent betrayal.
The source called it fierce, dignified love. Not weakness, but strength.
A deliberate choice to love no matter what. Which brings us back to, okay, what does that kind of love look like for us?
And the source points us, naturally, to 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter.
Verses 4-7, yeah. Love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, doesn't boast, isn't proud.
It lays out what love is, but also, importantly, what it isn't.
Right. Not rude, not self-seeking, not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs. Sometimes knowing the nots helps define the S.
And the source picked up on one particular knot that feels really relevant right now. Love isn't rude.
Oof, yeah. In a world where sometimes bluntness or telling it like it is gets mistaken for authenticity.
Or even weaponized. This calls us higher. Sometimes the most Christ-like thing is calmness, dignity, choosing not to engage in the rudeness.
It's a challenge. But then the source also nudged us about another aspect of love, not just loving the difficult people.
But remembering to love the ones who are easy to love, the ones we might take for granted.
Exactly. Our spouse, our parents, our kids, our closest friends, the people who show up consistently. Do we get complacent?
It's easy to do. Familiarity doesn't always breed contempt, but maybe neglect.
Yeah. So that reminder to just say thank you, send that text, make that call. It's simple, but maybe really necessary. Actively appreciating the love that's already there.
Okay, but let's be real. Some people are just genuinely difficult, like Judas level difficult in our own lives, perhaps.
And the source acknowledges that. It's not a sign of your spiritual failure if you have difficult relationships. Jesus did too.
So what's the approach? It pointed to Romans 12.21.
Don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It's about your response, not letting their negativity drag you down or make you bitter.
And it also stressed boundaries. Right, overcoming evil with good doesn't mean being a doormat or staying in unsafe situations.
Absolutely not. It means setting healthy limits, protecting yourself, but doing so without letting bitterness take root in your own heart. Don't let their darkness dim your light.
So pulling this all together for today, we live at a pretty divided time. Workplaces are stressed, families are complicated. How does this new commandment apply?
The source sums it up nicely, I think. This love is intentional. It's courageous, even when costly. It has boundaries. It's not about enabling bad behavior.
And crucially, it's not rude, even when disagreeing, even when setting boundaries.
And it comes back to that tripod image again. For our faith to be stable, for our witness to be clear, we need that balance. Loving God, loving our neighbor out there, and loving each other within the community.
So the challenge for you, the listener, is maybe this week to look at your own tripod. Which leg feels a bit short, a bit shaky?
Is it the connection with God? Maybe prayer feels dry, or you haven't opened your Bible in a while.
Or is it love for neighbor? Are you engaged with the needs outside your immediate circle?
Or is it that each other love? Are you intentionally connecting with and supporting others in your faith community?
And the source gave those practical examples. If worship is strong but community is weak, maybe just stay for coffee hour this week. Really talk to someone.
If you're all about action but prayer feels rushed, maybe carve out just 5 quiet minutes each morning. Just 5.
Or if community is your jam but outreach feels intimidating, Maybe sign up for one small service project, something manageable.
Yeah, the goal isn't sudden perfection. It's just consistent effort, taking small steps to live out this really profound command.
Because ultimately, this deep dive shows us a love modeled by Jesus himself, full of grace, yes, but also strength, courage, and deep kindness.
It's a reminder that maybe changing the world doesn't always happen through giant movements. Maybe it happens one relationship at a time through these intentional acts of Christ-like love.
So as you go about your week, maybe keep a few things in mind. That description in 1 Corinthians 13.
That powerful image of Jesus washing Judas's feet, knowing everything.
And that simple, maybe deceptively simple, principle. Love isn't rude. Something to think about. Definitely something to try and live out.